Hi.
Hello.
Good morning.
We were dealing with tech stuff, but it's all good now. We're all good. Happy Friday, guys. Last Friday we weren't here, but we still had a live stream that played. Hopefully you guys were able to catch that. That live stream, wow, the reception on that, I mean not live stream. It was a stream, but it was not live because we weren't here.
I was in Cleveland.
Yeah, the reception on that was awesome, though. Thanks to everybody who watched it. We had a lot of people request like more of this format, but the only format was that you guys weren't here. It was I can't really nail down what the format was that you were requesting. I think it was more that we weren't talking to you. We were talking to each other like podcast style. So do we ignore you? Is that what you want? Do you want us to ignore you guys?
I'm really good at that.
Or should we? I don't know. I don't know what to do with this information. But if you guys are here, it likely means that you watched my video on Tuesday. And that video has been a long time coming. In fact, it's something that we've been tossing around for months. I mean, really. And I don't know what my role in this is, but I do know that when it comes to Etsy and the direction that they've been going, I've had so many of you say, well, can't you do something? Like, don't you have an in with Etsy? And the quick answer to that is no, I don't. They deactivated one of my listings for a hoodie because Amber Marie, the person who helps with the shop, she's an alpha. We had Amber in our tags and it got deactivated for Amber jewelry. And when I communicated with them about it, they said that they were, our decision is final because you cannot sell Amber jewelry. And, we're not responding to any more messages. So I definitely don't have any particular ins with Etsy, even working over at eRank. We seldom get good responses from them. So
all the issues I've had with Etsy, I've had to directly
tell them who you are.
Yeah, tell them hey, we're influencers in your space.
Right.
Please give me a better response because this isn't going to look good when I tell my audience.
Yeah. And sometimes they listen and sometimes they don't. But essentially, that video is a big stew pot of all of the things that I have been hearing over the last few years as somebody that is, I'm not the biggest person in the Etsy space, but I do consider myself, up there at the top. And I hear usually the worst because people don't come to me to tell me about how great they're doing. I mean, you guys do sometimes, especially if you're close to me, you'll tell me. But most of what I hear is the negative because it is people who are solution seeking, right? So they come to me looking for solutions. And because of that, maybe I've got, a dark tint on the world, but it really does weigh on you after a while. And in my head, I keep thinking, what can I do? What can I do? So we've decided to start something called Keep Etsy Human on August 25th. That is exactly 1 week from today, I believe. Yeah, 1 week from today, I think. We are all, hopefully, you guys included, going to storm social media using the hashtag Keep Etsy Human, tag Etsy, go to their social media posts and pages and use this hashtag because what we want to do is get someone's attention. We don't know whose attention we're going to catch, whether it be Etsy.
If at all.
Right. Whether it be Etsy, whether it be, an employee that is, especially on places like LinkedIn, that's a great place to start this, initiative. I'm going to be on LinkedIn doing it because there's a lot of great Etsy support staff there that do communicate with people. I'm going to attempt to make a little bit of a fuss about this. And what I would love to see is possibly some reporters pick up this story. And in fact, if anybody has any reporters that we've already seen that Etsy was recently in the BBC for the payment reserves that, blew up, and it actually did trigger Etsy to change from a 75% reserve to a 30% reserve. Now, obviously, if you watched my video on Tuesday, you'll know that I'm not very happy about that because they're not being transparent about that reserve. They haven't said a solid 30%. They've said for a majority of
which is
sellers.
Not an acceptable answer.
Right.
And if there's anybody from Etsy watching, that is not an acceptable answer by any stretch of the imagination. If I was going to go pay my taxes and they'd be like, yeah, you might pay this much.
Right.
Like, I'd be like, nah, I want to know exactly how much I'm going to pay. Thanks, though.
Yeah, we need, and that's why in the video I said we need absolutes. We need to know exactly what to expect.
And if you can't give us absolutes, then you very clearly don't know what you're doing. Your platform is out of control and there's no communication between the departments that should have communication.
And you know, we understand change takes time.
They're a big company.
Change takes time. So if they were
millions of users,
if they were to say by, you know, October 1st, we will have an update for you.
it could even be later than that.
Right.
It could be like Q2 2024. Stuff takes time when you're talking about a multi-billion-dollar company. We understand that.
Right. I completely understand. But we need to know. We have to know, right? And
soon.
And so Etsy's been in the news twice. BBC about, I think it was 3 or 4 weeks ago, and then Etsy immediately updated their policies. They did not do that. I personally don't think that they did a very good job of that update because they didn't really share anything new, aside from the fact that they were dropping that reserve down, but they did not give a set in stone number. They just told reporters that they expect it to be around 30% for most. That doesn't help.
Around 30%. For most. There's two maybes there.
Yeah. And then the other thing.
Nothing's wrong with Etsy. Relax. We're telling you.
Yeah.
They've said it twice.
Yeah, like hang out. Hang out. Listen, like you'll learn something. Either that or go watch my Tuesday video. It's a lot shorter and it's only 5 minutes long. If you want the quick answers and you want to get out of here, then go watch that. It's on my channel right now. This is the longer version where we're able to talk with you guys about it. But with that said, I didn't know what my role was in all of this. So I do want to be clear about a couple things. The first thing is that this is not a movement to bully Etsy.
No, and please be polite when you make your posts.
Right. We're doing this because we love Etsy and we would like to see it restored to its former glory. So as we use this hashtag and we, you know, storm all of these Etsy platforms, we want to do so peacefully. Otherwise, they're not going to listen. We don't want to be seen as, oh, the Handmade Alphas, that community of jerky Etsy sellers who, you know, cuss Etsy support out. That's not who we are, and that's not who we expect you guys to be.
We're doing this out of care and passion for a platform that we love and that we want to continue to love.
Absolutely.
And no, we're not saying it's not a good idea to start on Etsy now. That is not what we are saying in any way, shape, or form.
Exactly.
The thing is, and we were talking about this prior. The problem is big. I don't want people to think that because our opinions are a little different. I'm not underplaying what is happening. There is a problem. I don't think it's affecting as many sellers as what it seems. I think a lot of the people that are requesting help are the ones that we're seeing here. I don't think the problem is as big as people are making it out to be. It's just obviously the angriest voices are the loudest voices, right? So it's not as big as what people are making it out to be, but that doesn't mean it's not a problem, right? It doesn't mean that it's not an issue that doesn't need addressed. Of course it needs to get addressed, because if you don't treat an infected wound, it's going to spread. Right. And our goal is to make sure that that doesn't continue to happen, because things start to compound. If there's a bunch of issues now and a bunch more issues come later down the road, then those issues are going to compound to the further issues, and it keeps going and going and going and going, and it's just going to turn into eBay. And what is happening to Etsy is exactly what happened to eBay. eBay used to be a platform where people could sell their handmade goods, their used stuff, their vintage stuff, and now it is just a platform for drop sellers and Chinese. That's literally what it is. It's for Chinese resell crap. And we don't want to see that happen to Etsy. I don't want to see that happen to Etsy. I love Etsy as a platform. So that's kind of our direction. Support the smaller sellers.
Right. So, you know, a couple things about this movement. Obviously, if you guys want to start using the hashtag now and build it up, go ahead. You can start now. But I would like to see August 25th be the day that we get as many people as possible. And we can't do this alone. If I can get on there and scream my head off, but it's not going to be enough if we don't actually make a wave. It's going to be like a little ripple rather than a tsunami. We can only create a tsunami if you guys join in on this and are loud with me. You might watch that video and say, yeah, Starla, you go get them. They're not going to listen to me. I mean, really, there's not. There's only so much that I by myself can do, which is exactly why we're encouraging you guys to share that video. And this isn't a publicity stunt to get us more views. We're going to donate all
100% of the money made up until the end of this month on that video. We're going to donate, and we'll probably do it live on the Bean.
Yeah, we're going to donate all of the monetization from that video to encourage you guys to share it. We're donating it to our charity of the month, Meals on Wheels. You guys can see we've already raised $145.
And most of that will actually come out of pocket because we don't even get that money until the 23rd of next month.
Well, right.
So
well,
we want you guys to see that we're serious. We're not making any money off of this.
Exactly. And any super chat money as well. If we get any super chat donations, I noticed somebody gave us a $2 super chat donation. We appreciate it. And that will also go into that big pool that we'll donate live as soon as that money, as soon as we know what our total is. But what I would love to see is this hit some more news, because Etsy's been in the news twice. The BBC for the, UK sellers, which is primarily where I sourced a lot of the material for my video that I posted on Tuesday. And the more recent one that irks me a lot is the woman who was just featured in CNN for selling Taylor Swift friendship bracelets, and she's quitting her job to start her Etsy shop full time selling a Taylor Swift themed merchandise.
That pisses me off. That pisses me off a lot.
Yeah, it's not a good message, and it's not a constructive thing to teach sellers. So I'm hoping, though, that since Etsy's kind of in the public eye with these two things, both the BBC and CNN, maybe we can gain a little bit of traction. Now, if anybody is able to help me with that, if you guys have an in with any reporters at all, please email me at starla@handmadealphaacademy.com. Go ahead and pop that into the chat.
Pop that in the chat.
Send them my way. Give them my email address. My time is very limited right now because I'm working on the Alpha Holiday Boot Camp. So I'm probably not going to be able to get stuck in a big back and forth situation, talking back and forth unless it's, a legitimate lead. But please don't be afraid to give people that email address, because I really want to make sure that we are finding someone that can help to amplify this even more. This is so important. Now, I also want to point out that a lot of the times when we see things like this happen on YouTube with big influencers, we see it turn into a thing where they rally everyone together and, we're all going to leave Etsy and move to Amazon. Yeah. And
that's a bad idea.
That's not.
It's because Amazon definitely doesn't care about you.
That's not necessarily what I'm trying to express. You guys can do what you want, but I want you to know that I'm an Etsy coach. I'm a manager over at erank.com. We're not going anywhere.
No, Etsy's our platform. We love Etsy.
That's why we're doing it. We're not doing it as a way to, get ourselves into another market. We're not going to shift to Amazon or drop shipping or any of these. I mean, sometimes I do some POD stuff because I've been, doing some stuff with Printify. But for the most part, all of our content is based on Etsy, and it's going to stay that way. And if I do branch out into any other platforms, it will be in addition to our.
Yeah, we'll never quit unless Etsy completely takes a crap. We'll never quit teaching Etsy. We might add general business stuff in the future just so we can branch our audience out and grow, because we're business owners and that's what we do. But Etsy is going to stay our mainstay platform.
Absolutely. The only way that we're going to leave Etsy is if it gets so bad that it's, you guys are leaving and we can no longer help you. That would be the point when we make the shift. But we probably will, branch out into some more general business advice, because we do know that a lot of you don't feel safe on Etsy, and we understand that. We don't advise you guys run and shut your shops down. And I know that a lot of people, we've had a couple comments on the video on Tuesday that, have said, this isn't going to do anything. What really needs to happen is sellers need to close their shops for a few weeks in order to make Etsy lose money. And while that is great, a lot of sellers don't have the luxury of doing that because they rely on Etsy for that money. They have to have that money to feed their families. I don't like any big moves that cause.
I don't like brute force. I don't think brute force is the way to go. I think a positive movement is the way to start. I think that's where it needs to go. If we can really get a few thousand people on board with this, somebody will pay attention.
Right. That's true.
And I do urge you guys, please don't be aggressive. Don't attack. We're not asking you to go and abuse Etsy. Most of the people working for them are out of the loop on probably what most of the things in the business take place. Even their social media people probably don't, other than what they read in the comments, don't have any idea what's happening behind the scenes. So be polite. Only say what's necessary. Keep it short and concise. You can even just throw the hashtag into a marketing photo if you want to, you know, just something to get the message out there in a positive and constructive way.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that this could backfire entirely and on us. I mean, that could backfire on us for attempting to start the movement. So we urge you guys to please be polite.
Absolutely. It's not our objective to bully.
We're not making demands. It's their business. They can do what they want.
But
I mean, if they want to run their business into the ground, then
right.
That's on them.
The main message of my past video, and the thing that I said right at the beginning of the video, was that we respectfully request change. We are not demanding change, but we are stating the things that are unacceptable, because there are things that impact all of us. No customer service. Even if you can get through to someone, you get generic responses that don't address anything that you've said. You usually, if it's a legitimate issue, with payments, reserves, shop suspensions, item deactivation, you're told that they don't know why, and that they will stop responding to you. But if you have a different question, you can open a new ticket. That's not adequate. That is not adequate. And those things affect us all. And also, I can't find anything anymore that I'm looking for on Etsy. I
can if I look hard enough, but at this point, it's unless I can specifically tell that it's mostly like a small niche thing and there probably aren't a lot of resellers, I usually will Google reverse image search everything I buy on Etsy, because 9 times out of 10 I can find the exact same thing cheaper on Amazon.
I'm suspicious every time I place an Etsy order. And that's why I tell you guys, like, fill out your about sections, build these trust building elements. And we don't talk about it that often, but we're starting to feel the impact as shoppers as well. We're looking for, to upgrade my engagement ring. And I thought, wow, what a cool, thing to be able to go buy my engagement ring on Etsy. That's Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher. That's where they bought their engagement ring. And I thought that it would be really special. And,
I see a lot of speculation in comments. A lot of people, because obviously Etsy's not partnered with a loan company, but the loan company that they were recommending to people is tied to Plaid, which is kind of sketchy. And I did see the comment, or the thing about Etsy contacting people in reserves to get a loan. I don't particularly think that's illegal, because Etsy isn't your employer. Though if we were to follow like good ethical standards, like if you're an employer and you can't afford to pay your employees, you don't tell your employees to get a loan, you get a loan. And then you pay your employees off of that loan. And then when you get your payments that are reserved for whatever reason, you pay off the loan with that, and you take the interest, I don't think, a lot of people are saying, they think with reserves that Etsy's putting them into an account and probably making a profit off of that.
The interest.
I don't think that's legal. I'm not going to make any specific claims on that, because I don't know if that's taking place. That sounds like a lot of speculation. I don't like speculation when it comes to talking about billions of dollars. That's not something that you play with. So I don't want to say that that's what's taking place. And I think that kind of speculation does more damage than good. I really do think that somewhere along the lines, somebody made a suggestion for the payment reserve system, and it was a way for them to keep back money to be able to reimburse customers who were getting stiffed by crappy sellers and Chinese drop sellers and people that were just making shops selling things that never actually shipped things. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt on that. I think it was a good idea implemented in a bad way. And I think that somebody with a good idea presented this as the idea, and someone who is business minded, money first, took that idea and said, you know what, we can hold a bunch of this money and then not be legally obligated to pay them for an extended amount of time. And it makes us look more valuable than we really are, because we're not just keeping the money that people are investing in our business. We're also keeping the money that customers are paying for products for, and we get to hold it for a certain amount of time, and it keeps our actual like estimated income looking higher than it actually is. That's my personal opinion. That's my version of speculation to a way that isn't just damning to the company.
Yeah.
Plaid settled a lawsuit for alleged privacy violations.
Yeah, they've had several issues. I mean, you can look them up. I can't remember them all offhand, but when everybody was requesting, help, when Etsy said you need to switch over to Plaid or else your account will be deactivated, I had a lot of emails, and I did some digging back then because people were saying that they were worried about privacy concerns with Plaid, and there have been quite a few. But most of you are already...
Everyone on the internet sells data. That's kind of the big moneymaker right now. So I wouldn't even be remotely surprised. Indie Sellers Guild says Etsy's terms of service says they can collect interest on any funds before they release the money to sellers. See, that's going to vary from country to country. I'm not up on financial laws and stuff like that. I would imagine that they're not allowed to take money because, I mean, realistically, there aren't a lot of interest-bearing accounts that it would be worthwhile for them to hold on to that money for, because they're probably in the cost of risking lawsuits from people who can actually afford to sue $1 billion company. I don't see it being worthwhile to do that. So even if they're allowed to do it, doesn't necessarily mean that that's what they're doing. Again, I would like to take the benefit of the doubt and assume that there's somebody human behind a lot of these decisions, but it's someone who is money-minded that's actually enforcing the decisions, and that's what's causing problems. You see that with most billion-dollar companies. There's a lot of really good ideas. The marketing team will come out and they'll say a bunch of really nice, pretty words about how they're going to do all these nice things, and then once they get it off to the team that actually implements it, who has the shareholders holding on to their noose, it just gets implemented in a way where it is just to make money first. And I think that's what's happened to Etsy. That's my personal opinion. I think it's a lot of good ideas with crappy implementation by people who... It's ideas from people who care and implementation from people who don't. That's what I think. That's my take.
Yeah, and I can see the root of all of their decisions. I can see what they were going for.
Mm-hmm.
Payment reserves, a lot of platforms have them, and what the BBC said was that it's outrageous that 75% is the most they've ever heard. That's
an insane amount. And I understand keeping the customers happy. I think it's important to keep the customers happy. You have to do things to protect customers when you have literally millions of sellers on a platform. It would be ignorant of you to say that they can't do anything and that they should have to absorb the cost of the sellers, because again, they're not your employer.
Right.
If you screw something up, that should be on you.
Mm-hmm.
However, most of these people aren't screwing things up. A lot of these reserves and shops like disappearing out of search because they've made a bunch of sales. Maybe they can keep up with that. Punish them after they can't. Really, that's the way that it was before, and that's the way that it should be now. If you can't keep up with orders, it should be up to you to hit that button, vacation mode.
And
like that. Why Etsy took it upon themselves to do it that way instead of just forcing sellers into vacation mode, like before any orders were past their ship date, before there was anything like wrong with what they were doing. They're just, nope, you're not making any more sales. Sorry. I'm like right on the border of saying too much.
Back on the topic of the payment reserves, they say, if the tracking can't be verified, because they want to see valid tracking with those orders. And what
understandable unless it's international.
And that's one of the big issues, is that those in the UK, like Pam was saying yesterday, they can't afford our tracked shipping here, for one. For two,
no, it's expensive.
For two, digital sellers who don't ship anything are being hit with payment reserves for not providing tracking. And Etsy even says that digital sellers are exempt from this.
This follows on, and I'm not laughing because I think it's funny. I'm laughing out of agitation. That's a nervous response of mine. I don't want anybody to think that I think this is funny.
No, I do the same thing.
It's aggravating. Yeah, I agree. And I'm getting myself worked up, and I don't want to start cursing.
Yeah. Mr. Ex-military gets angry.
It gets me mad when I see blatantly obvious issues with a platform and it takes them nigh freaking years to start working on solutions after they've already gotten out of hand. And I think my point, by the way, this is the most viewers we've ever had on a live stream. Thank you for joining us. We had 200 before we even started, and that I knew it was already going to be big. We love you guys.
Real quick, 2 seconds. Keep listening, but let me point out that today's charity's Meals on Wheels. They help provide meals to seniors who cannot leave their home, whether it's because they're, elderly and they cannot drive or travel, or because they're disabled. So please consider donating. Thank you to Anonymous who donated $20. We're up to $170, and all monetization from both this stream and our video on Tuesday will also be going towards Meals on Wheels at the end of the month. So let's keep, I guess we'll keep the momentum going.
It's hard to keep talking about the topic without just reiterating the same points over and over again. But August 25th, Keep Etsy Human. Our live stream after let's see what.
It'll be the day. It'll be on the 25th.
Well, no, I'm saying when we're going to donate the money. So on the 1st, when we do our live stream on the 1st, whatever we've made, technically we'll probably need to wait till the week after that because we won't know the analytics for that until the following week. So probably the 8th.
We'll do a big
donation thing.
Yeah.
We'll do it live. We'll figure out a way to show so we can show like the exact amount that we made off of that video, and we'll just donate it live out of pocket, and then next month it'll make up our loss.
Roll over.
Yeah, it'll roll over.
Thank you for donating.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
There's people talking about how it's bots handling things, and for one, I don't think they should have a phone number, and I know that sounds ridiculous. However, again, you have to consider the size of the platform. I think
5 million sellers, guys.
Yeah, I think it's kind of silly to expect. And you're not just talking about sellers, you're talking about the sellers plus probably 10 times more than that in buyers. So I think it's silly to expect them to have that. And I think it's silly to expect their customer service to be able to answer every question. I don't particularly like we can't tell you why your shop got shut down. I don't think it's a problem with a lot of different things that they're not able to provide you with an answer. But when it comes to why your shop got shut down, what specific rules you violated, and what specific listings, I think that's bullshit. And I think that it is absolutely unacceptable, and it should be illegal. It really should. To say that, hey, you make a living off of this, you make $1,000 or you make 1,000 sales a month, and then all of a sudden your shop just up and frickin' disappears. That's unacceptable, and that is one of the things that I.
Hey Jay, how you doing?
Hey Jay, thanks for your donation, my guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll stop while I'm ahead because I'm just gonna keep getting myself upset. I think that that's ridiculous, and I think that it should be considered unacceptable. Again, when it comes to our message here, because I know there's a lot more people, do not attack Etsy when you make your posts with the hashtag Keep Etsy Human. Be nice, be polite.
Share your stories.
Do it from a position of love. If you're going to share the negative things that have happened to you, finish it with something nice. Say, I would like to be able to continue selling on this platform. My shop was shut down for XYZ reasons. Now, we do get a lot of people that come to us and say, I haven't broken any rules, but then we look and like they're blatant copyright violations. If you broke the rules, you deserve what you got.
I mean, really, that's it. We can't say it any nicer way. We know that, sometimes rules get broken and you don't realize you've broken them, or you don't realize that you can't make Mickey Mouse merch because there are so many sellers that do. You
try to blast through that red light at full speed instead of slowing down on yellow, you deserve that ticket.
Right.
I mean, that's plain and simple. That's what it is. So I have no sympathy for people who break the rules. Ignorance isn't an excuse of the law. So...
And it is unfortunate. We understand it sucks. It sucks if you break a rule and you don't realize it was a rule. But, like he said,
that's again on you. You clicked the I agree to the terms and conditions when you signed up for the website. If you click that and you hit submit and you didn't read it, the only person's fault that is yours. And if they implement new rules, they send out an email saying that their terms of service have been updated. They're legally required to do so.
Karen had said they can spend $44 million on a bot company, but can't have adequate seller support. Sorry, I called BS. They can afford seller phone support.
I don't think phone support, because you're not only talking about having to pay people, you're talking about having to have the infrastructure in a facility for them to not only have a call center that you can hear people through. So you're talking about phones, noise canceling cubicles, the actual phone systems themselves, which are probably going to have to run off of very high speed fiber optic internet to be able to support that many calls at a time. You're talking about probably more than $40-50 million a year.
Unless they're remote.
Of stuff, which anyone who's an American here, I guarantee you 99% of them absolutely cannot freaking stand when they get a remote caller, because what do those people care about? Definitely not the platform that they're doing phone support for. You're going to get terrible answers.
He worked for one.
I did tech support. I don't think that a phone service is the way to go, though I do think having people trained on doing email support and paying for more people, they definitely could have put that 44 million into that. I mean, how much are they actually paying these people that do email support? Probably $25 an hour at best. I don't know. Somebody could probably find a listing for one of their things, but that's not a lot of money for compared to the 44 million that they made. They could probably hire 300-400 more people to do customer service for 44 million a year.
Would that be enough to take on the 5 million sellers who need support?
It would be a hell of a lot more than they've got now.
That's true.
How many employees does Etsy have? A couple thousand at most?
Oh, Lordy.
It's not a lot.
Last I checked, it was really, I think it was like, and I might be way off, but I think it was like 3,000. Go ahead and see if...
Yep, don't want that on screen.
Check for 2023 quarter 2 and see if there's
December
an update.
December 31st, they had 2,790 employees.
Yeah, I believe that they're up to 3,000.
They could have easily 10-20% increase for $40 million a year, and specifically just in their customer service. Again, we're also talking about buildings, power, HVAC, and all the other things that go into supporting that. This stuff, having employees gets expensive real fast. So, but I still think that they could hire quite a few people. What's the difference between agreeing to the terms to sell not prohibited items and agreeing to the terms about the payment reserve system? I mean, realistically, there aren't anything. Obviously, you're agreeing to it, but it doesn't mean that we necessarily have to agree with it. The difference is selling prohibited items, especially when you're talking about copyright. That's not an Etsy thing. That is a law thing that Etsy is legally required to have implementations for. There was just a lawsuit went through Supreme Court trying to dictate what websites were and weren't responsible for. Etsy is not responsible for the copyright content on their website as long as they implement a system in which the sellers or the IP holder can enforce it themselves, and Etsy does that. That's legally all they have to do. Etsy is doing 100% of what they have to do for copyright enforcement. They don't have to do anything beyond that. Technically, it's on the copyright holder, the original IP holder, to actually enforce that themselves. It's not on Etsy.
Yeah, lots of people saying that they can work from home, and we completely understand that. And we're going to have different opinions. You know, it doesn't make it doesn't mean, you know,
it's not about where the employees are working. People that work from home are less likely to do a good job more often than people that have to come into an office. I understand that there are comforts, and this is a ridiculous argument that we're getting into. The main point is that when they have to go into an office, when you actually have to be face to face with your supervisors, you're more likely to want to commit to good work. You're less likely to want to come into work. Obviously, nobody wants to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to throw on a suit to come in and answer emails. However, keeping the rules strict is easier when you are able to just walk over to an employee's desk and say, hey, you're answering this kind of question wrong. I think most people should work from home. I'm on that board. However, when it comes to a platform of this size, they could still have more people working in the office. And it does keep them from having an excuse because people, again, can work from home. However, I don't think it should be new employees that do that. I think it should be employees with tenure who know what they're doing, who are trusted employees that you can say, okay, we don't really need you to come into the office. We want to hire new trainees. Here's what you need to work from home. Because then again, you're also relying on the fact that like businesses have business internet. And business internet has guaranteed uptimes that are usually in the high 99 percentages. And a lot of, especially in rural areas, your internet's only guaranteed like 90 to 98% of the time, which means that you might have employees who don't have internet for a couple of weeks. And then if they're on payroll, you're paying employees that basically aren't doing anything. So we're just going down a rabbit hole here.
We all agree on the same thing. It's not, it doesn't matter how it's executed, whether it be phone, whether it be chat support, it does not matter how it's executed.
They need more support.
We all agree, whether you agree with, the phone support or not, we all agree that Etsy needs support. And honestly, I like to look at it like this. If I'm in chat support with somebody, I get a log of that and I get to keep that. I believe the Etsy chat support logs get emailed to you, or you can at least screenshot them. So you have some evidence of what you've been told. You call them, and you do not have any record of that. They do. They record those calls, but you likely don't. And you're not allowed to. I mean, we are in Ohio, we're allowed to record phone calls without
we're a one-party consent state. Yeah.
but a lot of areas do not allow, without their, the other person's consent, you to record that phone call on your end. Now, I don't know how that works for businesses, but
depends on where the business is incorporated. Most businesses usually have their phone stuff incorporated in a place that are one-party consent states for that reason. That's why states like Ohio have so many corporations in them.
Exactly.
Seller support will only be able to help with specific issues for many reasons. Different departments need to deal with different issues,
Exactly.
security versus financial. However, the easy solution to that is forward.
That's true.
That's the solution to the problem. Send that to finance. Send that to seller support. Send this there. It's literally that easy.
Like, we know that there's a solution out there because there are tons of companies that are significantly larger than Etsy that do have support systems. I mean, for example, MailChimp support, that is for mailing list support that crosses over so many different areas, including legal, including, software, including coding. And I always get excellent answers from MailChimp. And I guarantee that MailChimp, in terms of their customer base, they're probably not as big as Etsy, but I'm sure that they're probably pretty darn close. They're a huge company. And their customer support is amazing. So I just look at this, and I get so frustrated. I get so frustrated, guys, because I don't know what my role is, and I'm trying to find out what it is, because what I don't want to do is become the drama YouTuber, and what I don't want to do is become the YouTuber that only makes videos about this and isn't actually helping or sharing anything.
And we're not attacking Etsy. I still think, regardless of all this, I still think Etsy is the best platform to sell.
I just taught a class.
I do.
I just taught a class. I was the Miami Valley Childhood Development Center conference. Anyway, I talked to teachers for 2 days straight, 4 classes, hours and hours of my time. And it was mainly teachers who were interested in starting businesses. And I talked to them about Etsy and among other things, running a website. I recommended Redbubble. I was, telling them about different POD services if they were interested in that, because they knew nothing about any of this subject matter. But I still recommended Etsy to them as a great place to get your start, to learn, to grow. And the reason that we're fronting this initiative is because we understand how frustrating it is for you guys to watch a million videos about Etsy tips and how to find success on Etsy, how to make $30,000 on Etsy, how to do this, how to do that. And no one is acknowledging the elephant in the room. And that was one of the biggest compliments I got on the Tuesday video, was that we are just so happy that someone is acknowledging this. It's not that I haven't, been aware.
A lot of the information out there was speculation, and we don't like running off of speculation, especially when it's hard to gauge. You guys gotta understand that, like, we are Etsy support, basically, like, when it comes to how to run your shop.
More than they are.
We're teachers. We teach you how to run on this platform. And because of that, especially like when you see our chat here, you're going to see more of the bad here, because a lot of those people come to us for support. People that have issues running a shop or don't particularly understand a concept. That's why you're here. Some of you are here because you've been here for a long time and you like us for whatever reason. But at the end of the day, we're here to teach people. So it seems like a bigger problem. Again, I think it seems like a bigger problem than it really is, but it doesn't mean that it's not a problem. Again, you leave an open wound untreated, that wound is just going to fester and get worse. So I think we nip it in the bud early before it does start to become a widespread mass problem. And maybe we'll be able to solve it before it becomes unsolvable.
Right. And if it ever becomes unsolvable,
we'll be here to help you transition to wherever that needs to be.
Right. Whatever it is, we don't know what it is yet, but whatever it is, I mean, we are not giving up, especially, over on the E-Rank side. I mean, we are one of the largest Etsy associated companies over at E-Rank, and we are aware, trust me, because when we
hear it.
We see people cancel. When you cancel your E-Rank, we ask you why you're canceling, and a lot of people say, my account got suspended, or I'm leaving the platform for this reason. We see it. We feel it. We agree. It's just figuring out the best way to do this. So think of this as our first shot. This is our first try at this. And I don't know if it'll be successful. That's really up to you guys. There's 451 of you here. We need your help spreading that Tuesday video. It's only 5 minutes. Don't share this one with people because, you know, nobody's going to sit and watch an hour-long video to get the gist unless they want to. Share the 5-minute one. All the monetization from that is being donated. You know, there's literally no reason not to.
Yeah, if you have nothing nice to say and don't think you can draft up a nice message that has a message behind it,
because you're angry,
just
and
share the video and hashtag it.
yeah.
I mean, really, that's all it is. And again, we're done everything we make up until the end of this month, which will be 99% of the money that video makes ever. We'll donate it live on stream, probably the 8th of next month once we have it, because it takes up to 5 days to actually calculate bot views and stuff like that on YouTube. So either the 1st or more likely the 8th of next month, we'll show you how much it's made and we're going to donate it. We don't want to make money off of this. The views aren't going to be astronomical enough that it's going to help affect our actual like view count on YouTube at all. So
Right.
we don't want people to think that we're doing this for attention. We really do love this platform, and it does threaten our livelihood. We sell a course to teach Etsy sellers for a living.
E-rank.
Yeah, and E-rank. I mean, we've got multiple avenues that all rely on Etsy being a safe, reliable platform for sellers to sell on. And while I still think it very much is, and the problem isn't as big, I have a feeling that it could get worse, and I don't want to see that happen. So we need your guys' support. We can't do it alone. We're bigger YouTubers, but we're still very small as far as influencers go. So we need your guys' support. You guys have a bigger voice than ours.
Another thing that you guys can do to help, I mean, I saw Jay here. Hey, Jay.
Hello.
Share this video with other YouTubers. If you know like a YouTuber, feel free to share this video with them as well. If we could get some more YouTubers in on this, that's why today was going to be the day that we all stormed Etsy, when I was going to give it a week. And then Michelle, I just, you know, my new virtual assistant, she kind of talked me down and said, no, we give it one more week. And I was like, okay, that makes more sense. 2 weeks. That gives YouTubers time to make videos, to make, you know, even just like a TikTok or an Instagram story or a reel or even just a post. And you guys feel free to go into Canva. Make some graphics for your page if you want to spread awareness with your buyers, because your buyers are feeling this too. Your buyers are going to Etsy to shop and finding things that you know they're finding on Amazon for way cheaper. Spread this everywhere you can, whether it be for sellers, buyers, YouTubers, influencers, and like I said, if
this video, the video from Tuesday,
the 5-minute video from Tuesday. Because we need this amplified louder. We need more volume.
And David had said Etsy's a scam. They took my money. Etsy is absolutely not a scam. We at one point, and many people we know make their living off of Etsy, and some people are up in like the 6, 7 figures. So I disagree with that sentiment.
Right. We understand that Etsy, if you were like deactivated and you had money in your account, yes, we can understand that. But a broad statement like
I still think you can access the money that you.
Well, there's been a lot of cases where people haven't gotten their money. But either way,
talk to a legal representative; they'll get that money for you.
Exactly. A broad statement like Etsy is a scam isn't beneficial to the overall cause of, you know, Etsy is being irresponsible. And we feel you if you've lost money, but it doesn't make Etsy as a whole a scam. And that's not what we're trying to promote here at all.
Can you give us some points besides the payment reserves?
Yeah. Other points are listed in the video on Tuesday, first and foremost, but there are a lot of things that sellers are currently upset about. For example, the purchase protection program. We have had so many sellers come to us and say that tracking has shown the item as being delivered. Well, a lot of the times, and I'm sure you guys have experienced this, you get a notification that your package has been delivered. That package hasn't been delivered. It either gets delivered later that day or the following day because it gets scanned early, placed on the mail truck, and it either gets delivered, you know, later in the afternoon, especially around the holiday time when they're really busy, or it gets scanned in and then they, you know, I don't know if it gets forgotten on the truck and it comes back around the next day or what, but sometimes it gets delivered a day later, or the tracking does show delivered, but a buyer opens up that dispute and they immediately get their refund. I've had a bunch of sellers tell me that within 10 minutes of that buyer opening up a dispute, even when the tracking shows that the order has been received, that Etsy on, behalf of the seller refunds that order. We just had somebody who sold like a $500 piece of furniture who, it took a little bit longer because the furniture is heavy, and it had said delivered, and it didn't actually end up getting delivered until the following day, and they ended up having their money refunded to the customer. So that's one example. No customer support is one of the biggest that we're fighting for. Bot deactivations, that's a huge one. Etsy is using AI to identify things like words. I'm assuming they're probably doing some things for imagery as well. And basically, they're training this AI. I'm assuming, again, this is me assuming based on what I'm seeing, to deactivate listings that they believe violate their policies. However, this system is going crazy, and it is deactivating listings that do not violate Etsy's policies. For example, one of my hoodies, Amber, is listed in the tags because of Amber Marie, the person who helps me with my shop. People search for both me and her by name because we're large influencers. Our hoodie with the tag Amber Marie was deactivated for Amber Jewelry. When I communicated with Etsy support about it, they told me that their decision was final because Amber Jewelry could not be listed, even though I told them and attached a photo that this is not jewelry, this is a hoodie. And they would not answer any more of my questions. So again, that's a compound issue with bot deactivations. We have had so many people come to us and say that they were deactivated for drug paraphernalia, for jewelry, and we had somebody for soap that was deactivated for drug paraphernalia. So rampant deactivations both for listings and for shops. Sellers put on vacation mode because Etsy identifies that they've received too many orders.
Like what?
With no knowledge of no knowledge of that seller's operations, or what that seller can keep up with.
Maybe they've got a team of people. Maybe they got 6 kids that help them make their stuff, and they all do it as a family craft.
Right.
You don't know. Who gives a crap if they got a bunch of orders? Punish them once they don't ship the orders and they get a bunch of complaints.
Yeah.
It's literally that easy. That's the solution.
And David had said, sorry for the scam comment, but I'm angry because there's no way to get my money and all I get is AI generated responses from customer support. And we understand. That's why we're doing this. It's for people just like you.
Yeah.
And we hope that on the 25th, you'll join us in going to all of their social media platforms.
And situations like yours probably are few and far between, but they do exist, and it's still unacceptable. If it were like 1 in 100 million cases, but it's not. It's like a measurable percentage of people that are having issues, and an audience that's big enough that we see it daily, and that's unacceptable.
Yeah. And for everybody who's asking like what this is about, like, please be sure to rewatch this. If you're just tuning in, we know there's a lot of you. There will be a replay of this, but if you want the condensed version, there's a 5-minute version of this on my channel right now. It was posted on Tuesday. Go watch that if you want this all canned for you in a quick, way. But right now, what we're kind of doing is really using this as an opportunity to discuss why we've decided to do what we're doing, why it's taken us so long. Like I said, not understanding my role in this and not knowing what you guys wanted from me was a big one. And I think that there's probably a lot of YouTubers that are in the same position as me where they know that this is going on, but I think that a lot of it is both thinking Etsy's not going to listen to one person, which would be me. If I emailed them, they would not listen to me. But also not understanding, what you guys want and what you expect. And if I'm going to lose, all my subscribers, if for a week I don't post any tips or things to help you, if I, talk about a cause instead, will you guys all run off and decide that you don't want to watch anymore? So there's always that teetering on the edge. But really, I think that this is something that needs to happen. If I lose a couple subscribers over it, then that's fine. I would rather stand. I mean, really, it's that whole stand up for what's right, even if you're standing alone. If no other Etsy YouTubers get involved, that's fine. Yeah,
we're just doing what we think is right, and we're trying to not do it from a point of anger. Obviously, it's easy to get frustrated over things like this, but I think coming at it from a position of anger is not conducive to solution, just like anything else in life. It's not a good way to solve a problem, which is why we really do ask that you guys don't attack, don't be angry, don't belittle, don't berate, don't specifically call out any customer support people. Don't do anything. If you don't have anything positive to say and you cannot put something positive in your message, just share our video and hashtag it, please.
Yeah.
Because what I don't want to do is Etsy to retaliate. I don't think that they would do something like that. I mean, our voices really won't mean much
But
in the grand scheme of things.
We don't want to see our shops get shut down either, you know?
No, we're involved in this too.
Jay had said no Etsy YouTubers want to paint Etsy in a dark light either. Exactly. And, you know, we've
had people that we used to work with who have, and it literally killed their YouTube channel. Like, this is even just a risk for us. But that's why we're saying we're not attacking Etsy, and we don't think you should move away from Etsy. And I don't think switching to selling on your own website is the way to go. I think
you should have one.
I think you should have one.
As a backup.
I don't think a majority of people understand business to a point that they can be successful on their own websites. And Etsy provides an avenue for people who are not internet savvy to be able to sell their products in an easy way. I think Etsy is the way to go. I do.
Out of curiosity, all of the things that we've talked about today with customer support, shop getting put on reserve, being put, you know, any of the issues that we've talked about today, can you post the wolf emoji in the chat right now? I want to see. I want to know how many of you guys have been affected by any of the things, and let's just see how many. And if you're watching this on the replay, I believe you can pop the chat open
directly, not indirectly. People that are directly affected.
Yeah, if you've been personally affected,
your shop,
by any of the things, not being able to reach support, having your funds put on reserve, having something, you know, refunded on your behalf, being given an answer that didn't apply to you from support, having listings deactivated, having your shop deactivated. If you've dealt with any of these things, let us know. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16.
It's a lot. It'll just keep going.
Yeah. That's really what I figured.
Yeah, kill them with kindness is a tried and true method. People and companies get angry and defensive when you come at them in a hostile manner and will not help you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
This is wow. Deactivated. I can't find a wolf, but yes.
You can just copy and paste theirs.
Yeah. Yeah. And it really sucks for POD, because obviously, you know, you've got to front the cost of those orders. That really sucks.
Twitter isn't a thing anymore.
Yeah, X.
It's X now.
I think I put the X on the logo for our new thing. And Threads too. Post on Threads. Etsy's actually been, you know, they were kind of active on Threads there for a minute. I don't know if they still are, but every social media platform that you are on,
Etsy is on.
Use the hashtag, go to their posts, post the hashtag, post this video, post your stories. We have to make this loud and we have to do it together. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And it still might not work. This might accomplish absolutely nothing. However, it's a way to build a community. We're going to try. We will never know until we try. I'm not going to be one of those people who's going to promise like this will get Etsy's attention, because it might not. But wouldn't it be great if it got a big news station's attention and that made Etsy pay attention? Because when the BBC picked up that story and there were talks of lawsuits and things, Etsy changed right away. Now, I would love to see something similar like that happen. It's going to take a lot of work, and it's going to take a lot of voices across a lot of platforms. Feel free to share this on news and media, social medias as well. I know that a lot of like news sites will, you know, they'll look at their comments for stories and things. Go ahead, post it everywhere. Nothing is off limits.
Has there been an attempt to request a meeting with the CEO or board of directors? We're not big enough for the CEO to give a crap about us. Otherwise, we would.
No, not even over on the E-Rank side. Anthony Wolf can't even get through.
You got to remember, it's just the two of us. We do have someone helping us with email support now. So that's nice. Not technically an employee, but she does help us.
Virtual assistant.
Virtual assistant, yeah.
She and I are also opening a new Etsy shop together, so we'll have some videos on that soon. Love you, Michelle. Yeah, we're starting a new Etsy shop that I just got all my samples for, so I'm excited. But
Guess I shouldn't start my Etsy shop because I got Kirby and anime stuff. You already had people telling you that that's illegal, so
yeah, I wouldn't.
yeah, that's not.
You don't,
Etsy's not a place for that. There are platforms that allow you to do things like fan art,
but not to sell.
but not to sell. Yeah,
Yeah.
not on Etsy.
You would be fine to like, you know, create if you're not wanting to sell, you know, going on DeviantArt, for example, could be a fun place to share your work. There's still a big community there.
And again, if anybody from Etsy wants to, I'd be more than happy to interview you live. I'm not going to
Or chat
sugarcoat it.
privately.
Yeah, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, and nor will I agree to any like NDA policies when it comes to an interview. It has to be raw. But I will absolutely interview somebody live or private, but it's going to be on our grounds and on our rules, not yours.
Or if you, or you know, not even an interview. If you just want to have a private meeting with us and chat, you know,
I'd be down for that too. We can totally do, if you want to just have a chat, I will 100% do that in a confidential setting.
Yeah.
I'll even fly out. I'll pay for my own plane ticket and fly out and interview you on camera.
Right. We will go wherever we are asked to go. We will do whatever we are asked to do, but help us to help sellers.
Has to be
help us to know what to say to people.
Just for us, it will have to be in a private setting of our choosing.
Yeah.
Not yours. I won't do it in Etsy headquarters because then you can limit what I can say.
That's true. That's true.
But private intermediate ground. We can do like a Hilton or something.
But regardless, I would love to talk to someone at Etsy who can tell me how to advise, how to serve as the customer support for their sellers because that's really what I do. I'm free Etsy customer support, solving problems on a daily basis to the point where I've had to hire someone to help me do it for my public inbox because I get so many emails a day asking these exact questions. And we try to open, you know, the stage for you guys to talk to us here every Friday and ask those questions. But sometimes, you know, as big as the audience is growing, it's not enough. And I'm investing, you know, money into having someone there to also help and be an extension of me. Not for students. You guys get me. Just please understand that if you've paid me, you'll only get me. But
or me.
Or him if you email him. But yeah, like I need to know how to help people. I need to know what's my job. How can I do a better job? What should I tell them? And I wish that there was somebody out there that could tell me that, because I can guess and I can speculate and I can say what I would do, but I find myself more and more sending emails that just say, I don't know what to do. All you can do is continue bugging Etsy, continue emailing them and messaging them. And that used to work for a minute, but now it's starting to not work as much. So I don't know.
A few people have mentioned the make an offer system. I imagine they're going to keep that as an optional thing. I don't think that they'll enforce that as a mandatory thing. I do see how that could snowball and how people will only look for sellers that accept offers. So I'm not a huge fan of it.
I like it for vintage and that's about it. And I mentioned that in the video on Tuesday as well, which is probably why you guys are bringing it up.
If they were to make that a mandatory thing for all sellers, I might actually question selling on Etsy from that point forward. I don't like it as a system.
It cheapens it.
It cheapens the actual meaning behind the product, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
It's going to cause people to have to price products in a way that they are going to have to accept lowball offers. So people are going to have to double and triple their product costs in order to make it worth it.
Yeah, Nikki said I was going to open my shop this weekend for homemade patchwork things, and loads getting ready for Christmas. Is there no point? It's not that there's no point, but be aware that your shop might get deactivated right away. If it does, email Etsy. Even if they say that the decision is permanent, most new sellers get deactivated immediately with no reason, and Etsy will say, we've emailed you a reason, and they don't. That's another one of the issues that I acknowledge in the video.
Yeah, flat out lying. Saying
we've emailed you, and they haven't. And, you know, we've heard it from thousands of people. It's not like one person missed it because it went into their spam. Most people don't get a response at all. If your shop gets deactivated, please know that you can likely get it back. You'll just have to bug them a lot. We had one student, I think it took them like 6 months to get their shop reactivated of constant emailing, and they finally were able to do it. But our new shop that we just opened with Michelle, it wasn't deactivated. It's still up. We haven't run into any issues with it yet. So, you know, knock on wood.
Yeah, knock on wood.
Yeah, I actually expected it to get deactivated and it wasn't. So I'm thankful.
Love you too, Patricia.
All right, guys, we're at 1:00 on the dot. We've got 30 minutes left. We know that there were a lot of questions that we missed, but usually in the last 30 minutes of these live streams, we open the floor to questions. Ask us anything. A lot of the what is your opinion on this, we're happy to share our opinions, but you know, sometimes it's hard for us to share our opinions because we know that they're going to vary.
Yeah.
So we'll do our best to answer those types, but yeah, let us know what's on your mind. You know, another thing that Pam brought up yesterday is that if your shop is put on payment reserve and they give you that tiny little percentage of your money, your fees come out of that first. All your collective fees. So what you end up actually getting isn't the fees spread out across all the money you've made.
It's all of the fees for all of the money that's also in reserve, and then you get whatever's left after that.
Right. There was somebody who made like a $70. They had like a $70 sale and got like $7 out of it because the rest of it was in reserve.
Do questions have to be keep Etsy human related? No.
No, you can ask us anything.
No, these are we're at the general Q&A portion. We're probably mostly done talking about that just because it's reiterating the same crap over and over again.
Yeah, we don't want to sound like broken records, but you guys kind of need to sound like a broken record for this to work. So again, go to my main channel, you know, just click my name down below. Find that video. It should be right on the front page. It says, you know, change on Etsy or something like that. August 25th, right on the thumbnail. Click that, share it everywhere. Hashtag keep Etsy human, post it on their social medias, post it on your own social media, post it on your business pages, ask people to share it, post it on your news sites, whatever your favorite news platform is, share it on their social media, put it everywhere. If you've got Etsy YouTubers that you love, that you think would be interested in sharing this message too, send it to them. We're donating all of the money from the views, both on this video and that video. Any super chat that we get, we're going to donate all of that to Meals on Wheels. We've already raised $270, so thanks to everybody who's donated. But let's make this loud on August 25th. And if you want to start now, feel free to start.
Just keep it up. As long as people are posting on the 25th.
Yeah, we want to flood on the 25th, but if you want to start now,
go for it.
Absolutely. Make some cool graphics. Go into Canva. You can make some free graphics with the hashtag on it.
Let's just say, because a lot of people were asking for time, let's just say noon. Noon, whatever your time is, noon. That'll keep it rolling.
We'll go live right at that minute. You realize at noon.
Yeah, at that noon. If you guys want to do it like 10 minutes before our live stream starts next week. Is it next week or the week after?
It's next week. In 1 week.
Yeah, in 1 week.
Yeah, I'll schedule mine out. That way they go out at noon right when we start this video.
Sure.
Maybe that's when we start the flood.
Yeah, we can do it. Maybe have everybody post right before it. You can include it in your email.
Yeah.
And then if people want it, because a lot of people watch on their cell phones. A good like third of these people are on their phones. So.
All right. Do you guys notice that JoJo, my mom's little chihuahua, is asleep back here?
She's a wee out of focus, but that's okay.
She's
the light is not pointed at her. It is pointed above her. She's in the cone of influence.
She's passed out.
Yeah, she's zonked. Can you be put on reserved if you're a star seller? Yes, star seller doesn't have any. It doesn't do anything. As of right now, does nothing to your shop other than giving you a badge.
Now, I think that you weren't supposed to be put on reserve for star seller. I think that was one of the things that they had originally said, or maybe like you were less likely to be put on reserve if you're a star seller. I've had tons of people contact me and say that they're star sellers and that they've been put on reserve.
A lot of them lost it right before they got put on reserve. Like they took it away and then immediately went on reserve. So I don't know. But no, it doesn't. As of right now, it doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
I have an E-rank for Etsy. Does it work with WooCommerce? I'd like to be able to use when my website is up.
So you can, the keyword tool, just to verify for everybody who's new here, since there's a lot of you, Mark and I are managers over at erank.com, which is Etsy's largest SEO tool. You can find some decent keywords for Google. And if you use the keyword tool, there's actually the trend graph, the orange one that pops up in between the pie chart and the competition, click-through rate, searches, yada, yada, that table. The one right in the middle with the little orange line, there's also a green checkbox down below for Google. If you click that green checkbox for Google, that graph will add another line for what the Google searches are like. So you could technically use some of those keywords. You would just need to make sure that you're focusing on Google optimization, which is a lot different than Etsy SEO. I'm not great at Google SEO, but Etsy SEO is my jam. So, you know, that's how I would find keywords.
And most of our website sales don't come from Google. They're people that
opt in. Yeah.
However, a lot of people are from searching through Google
finding
it because they don't want to type in handmadealphaacademy.com because it's a ridiculous amount of letters to type.
I know.
But HAA.com costs $600,000 now, so we can't afford it.
if we
3-letter websites are very expensive.
Yeah, we need a different domain name, a redirect.
We've got joinhaa.com now.
Yeah.
Is there a place on Etsy where you can have people do a pickup and they aren't charged shipping? I may be missing it. So like local pickup, I'm assuming is what you're talking about.
I think that there used to be an option for local pickup, but I know that one of the ladies who was placed on reserve, she was placed on reserve because she had done local pickup on a large dresser because she like upcycled furniture. And she was placed on reserve for not adding a valid tracking. So, but I believe that you still have the option.
This stuff's going to give me an aneurysm.
I can't remember. I've never done that because I've never been comfortable meeting.
They said, yeah, local. They did at one point, I believe. My shop was put on payment reserve and they said they could not discuss the reason for me. Why is this? Probably because the customer support person doesn't know. Is that a thing with everyone else put on payment reserve? I'd say the majority of people don't know why they're put on payment reserve. And I don't want to speculate too much. I have thoughts, but I don't want to speculate on it too much.
But yeah, a lot of people have been. So just, you're not alone. And this is one of the reasons we're doing it.
Yeah, that's actually one of the main reasons. Is it a lot of times when shops are shut down and when payment reserves happen, they don't actually tell anyone why. And that's my biggest problem. If they had legitimate reasons, it would be different. But most of the time they just say, we can't tell you.
Right, because you could fix it. If it was something that you did wrong, you want to know so you don't make that mistake again, right? That's what ticks me off the most, is that people need to be able to correct their errors.
Longtime viewer just want to know if it's too late to get into the market on Etsy for digital wall art, physical wall art. Your opinion will mean a lot. Thank you.
It's not too late to get in on anything.
No.
You need to define your niche. You need to understand the demand for the specific niche. If you're trying to make some AI generated wall art, I hate to say it, but that market is probably pretty saturated and there's not a lot of demand for it. You can find that yourself by going to erank.com and typing those keywords into the keyword tool. You need to pick a niche associated with something that there's an audience for. Maybe it's wall art for people who love horses and you do only horse themed wall art and prints and things like that, because horse people who love horses and Western type decor would be interested in that. Mm-hmm. So find a niche, use eRank to do a little bit of product research and then focus in on that niche.
Mm-hmm. I heard eRank is better than Everbee.
I personally think so, but we're managed there.
I've never used Everbee, so I can't give a unbiased opinion. Plus, also, we're both managers.
Yeah, we're managers at eRank. Now, I will say that eRank is the biggest Etsy SEO tool, the most used Etsy SEO tool, and we have a lot more data than many of the newer Etsy SEO tools, simply because we have more users, which means we have more money, which means we can buy more data. And anytime, we have a big influx of customers, the first thing that Anthony's either doing is trying to see if he can hire someone new to help improve, our workflow, or he's investing it in another marketplace. So we're constantly adding new marketplaces, though.
Oh, and we had missed a question up here. You had mentioned making AI art ethically. Do you have a way to do that? Is there a program to use? I'm sure there are, but we're not versed in that stuff, so
we don't do it. You need to find a program that relies on its own internal image base where those images have been opted in.
Or do your own.
Right.
You can host your own AI server on your own computer.
Right.
And I am not the person to ask on how to do that.
Yeah. It ethically sourced means it's not just taking all the images from Google and compiling them into a Frankenstein art piece without the permission of the original creators of those pieces of art.
What determines a shop being put into reserve? A ton of different things, but a lot of them we don't know.
Etsy says that a big influx of orders that, if they notice that you've made a bunch of sales all at once, they'll put you on reserve.
But who knows how many?
Right. If you're new, I think that you're automatically put on reserve. If you don't provide tracking, you're put on reserve. If you get an influx of negative reviews, you're put on reserve.
Understandably.
That one I understand. If your orders go, if you have a bunch of orders that go overdue for too long, without shipping, that puts you on reserve. And Etsy technically says that digital sellers don't get put on reserve, but that's not true because they are getting put on reserve for not providing tracking. But if you go to my Tuesday video, the one that I, keep talking about, in the description of that video, I added the link where Etsy updated the article about the payment reserve system, the one that I basically made the video about because it disgruntled me so much. And it does list the qualifiers for payment reserve in that. But please be aware that the reasons that they have listed are not all of the reasons that we have heard from sellers who have said that they have been placed on reserve.
After losing star seller status due to quote unquote multiple violations, non-handmade items, have you heard of anyone having success getting Etsy to reactivate their star seller status?
It depends entirely on if your multiple violations are legitimate because your items are non-handmade, or if they were made in error. If they were made in error, I would do everything that you can to show Etsy that you are making your products. If you're print on demand, showing that you've designed the artwork that's on it, or you have, created it in some way. If you're just selling things that are non-handmade and you're not, in any of the qualifying areas like vintage, print on demand, yada, yada, Etsy's not for you anyway. So it really just depends on the situation. And I know that sucks to hear, but that's literally why we're doing this movement. It's one of the many reasons is that non-handmade items, excluding POD and vintage, it's not for Etsy. Etsy's not a drop shipping platform. So I'm not saying that that's you because you didn't give us enough context. But maybe Amazon's the platform for you. Maybe eBay's the platform for you.
Can you post it on your listings? We had several people asking if they could put Keep Etsy human.
I wouldn't poke the bear that way.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't poke the bear. In the very, 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 very small chance that Etsy retaliates against us specifically, we don't want you tied to it in that way. Yeah. I wouldn't do that. Your social media is fine.
Yeah, don't poke the bear that way. And hashtags don't work on Etsy anyway, so
they don't do anything.
Right, all you would be doing is raising awareness for buyers, but let's keep it out of your money makers.
Keep it out of Etsy specifically. Don't tell your customers to do it. You can tell people on your social media that you want to do it, but what I'm saying is like on Etsy specifically, don't do anything.
Right, don't message your customers and tell them. I wouldn't do that.
Don't message their customer support. That's not what that is. That could be considered a violation as well. Do it specifically on your social media platforms. Yeah. Since it can take a while for new listings to get into the algorithm.
It doesn't take long for them to get into the algorithm.
Yeah, they immediately are in the algorithm. It can take time for it to optimize within there. When would be a good time to list things for Valentine's Day?
I typically recommend 4 months in advance. Christmas you can usually get away with earlier because August we usually see the first big spike in Christmas searches.
Valentine's Day is a little harder because that's at the beginning of the year, right after a major holiday. So I think IMO January, late December.
December I recommend because if you look at searches, if you go to erank.com and type in like Christmas shirt, you see it ramp up and it peaks at November, and then December there's hardly any searches because by December people already have their Christmas shirts. So if we're assuming that you're creating something for Valentine's Day specifically, I would get those items listed in December at the latest because people aren't searching for those items. So.
Sorry, I had to delete your comment. We can talk private on that.
Okay.
How much does changing a title on a listing affect its search algorithm? I only have a couple listings that float my shop and I'm worried to test and sync my shop traffic.
Wait. How much is changing a title? It depends. Is that the listing that is bringing you traffic? That I'm lacking information here. How much does changing a title on a listing? I mean, it changes it when you remove a term that you were either exact matching for or broad matching for. If you were exact matching for a term, then it's just that term itself. But if you're broad matching, it's all the words within that term, also in relation to all the other words that are in that title. So, if you're selling our, example that Pam always uses, a bronze and opal steampunk engagement ring. Well, maybe you're not getting any searches for bronze and opal steampunk engagement ring. So you take that out, but you don't realize that you were actually ranking for bronze engagement ring. Even though those words aren't next to each other, maybe you were broad matching for that. So, I would need more information as to what you're asking, because if you have a couple listings that are doing really well, and don't test with those. Don't test with anything that's doing well. Find the listings that aren't doing well and experiment.
Exactly. How to check, did my money get put on reserve or not?
You'll get an email and you will, I
Not
think,
have access to your money.
yeah, I think it'll show in your payment account that you've got, so much is sitting in reserve. So check your payment account on Etsy in your finances section. And it should tell you how much is in reserve if you have a reserve.
Can you explain more about free shipping on the first search pages? Do you see it also? I was thinking it is just me seeing it.
So Etsy says that items that ship free get priority in search on mobile. Okay, so it's mobile that they're getting priority in search. However, if you shop on Etsy on mobile, not every listing gets priority in search because not everything you see is items that ship free. So I don't know what they do to determine that. And maybe it's things like, overall listing quality score. Maybe that trumps over a free shipping guarantee. Maybe if your listing quality score is high enough, that can supersede those who have the free shipping. But it does help on mobile, and over 50% of Etsy shoppers are shopping from mobile.
What was it? Give me 1 second. New tab so I can message them afterwards.
Oh, that's fine. Jay, you can email me.
Yeah.
Starla at handmadealphaacademy.com.
I think he left.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. He said
I just had to delete a comment
okay.
for reasons.
I didn't see it.
That's fine. I started selling in person and my shop got a reserve. There's no money to hold because it was all in person. It says I need to add tracking to my orders. Will reserve get lifted?
You'll probably be stuck on the reserve for the 90 days if you can't provide tracking. That's so stupid. Thank you for telling us that, because that's
probably the dumbest thing that I've heard so far.
Yeah.
For reserves. That's
crazy. Did you have like the card swiper, or was it a local pickup type thing? Feel free to give us some more context on that.
Not related to main topic, but thoughts on digital and physical product stores. I have a POD and physical product store, but only 1 or 2 items I would want to make digital. People say separate. Thoughts?
There's one above that. Is the target audience the same? Is the target audience the same as, for the 2 types of items? I think it really depends. If the people needing the digital files, if it's artwork and they have the option to print it themselves, or, have it printed for them to put on the wall, target audience is probably the same. If it is like a design that they can put on their own products, to sell, like, maybe you sell some type of clip art and they can put it on their products to sell versus completed products in your shop, that's going to be 2 different customers. You're going to have customers who want the completed products. We'll say tumblers, for example. They want a completed tumbler. They want the cup. The people who want the design to place on a cup, it's going to be business owners versus people who want to buy cups.
Sorry if you got, I doubt you guys can, but she is snoring like a hog back there.
She does. She sounds like a little piggy.
What is click-through rate?
Click-through rate is the rate of people who search for a specific term and they click a listing. So they find what they're looking for. I like to see it as if you see, if you're looking at click-through rate in E-Rank and you notice that the click-through rate is really low, it means that a lot of people might have searched for that term, but very few people found what they were looking for when they searched for that term. And maybe they refined their search and searched for something else, which means maybe there's a better keyword out there or a more specific keyword. Whereas, a good click-through rate, that means that people are typically quite interested in the types of items that are listed under that term. So that's all that means, though.
My reserve was nothing other than a bump in sales. Yep, we see that quite a bit. When starting an Etsy shop and marketing it, do you advise doing social media ads or just social media posts? Is there a best practice when you do ads versus posts?
So I'm not a big fan of social media ads for several reasons. It's a numbers game, and you're really competing against every other, company that's also advertising to their audience. And every once in a while, I'll see some really cool Etsy ads where I know that seller has invested a lot of their personal money. In fact, I'll be surprised. I'll click on the ad thinking that it's going to take me to their website and I get, an Etsy shop, which I love. However, starting out, I would really stick to just posting. I'm a huge fan of Instagram for so many reasons. The algorithm is quite fair over there And I know a lot of you may disagree, but it's a lot more fair than Facebook, for example, where even if the person has liked your page, you're only reaching a very small percentage of your audience. Engagement is still going to be important for any social media platform. If the audience isn't engaging with your content, then they're not going to see that content static in their feed. If you guys want something that is really helpful to help game you up for the busy holiday season, and you want to, do some marketing on Instagram, but you don't have money to spend, down below, if you expand out the video description and you look under my freebies, my free Instagram challenge kit is probably one of the best freebies that I offer. You get a video tutorial that talks about Instagram's algorithm and posting frequency, and, guidelines, things that you should, keep in mind. But it also tells you exactly what to do for 30 days, what to post each of the 30 days. I also give you a big list of post ideas, reel ideas, Instagram story ideas, and it can help you to plan out your content. And it also has a goal tracker that will help you to determine how much the challenge after the 30 days actually helped you. And a lot of people they do it every 30 days. They just stay on that and use that as their permanent posting schedule. So feel free to check it out. It's free.
Does Etsy collect interest on the money that sits there? We kind of talked about that earlier in the stream. We don't know. I would like to think that they don't do that. And I would like to think that there's legal issues with doing that, but I don't really want to speculate too much. I sell printables. I want to expand to commercially licensed items for businesses, clip art, SVGs, and marketing tools, animated GIFs, social media trackers, new shop, or use different backgrounds.
Is the target audience the same? If the target audience is not the same, I would separate them.
Yeah.
If the target audience for your current printables is the same, maybe, businesses, then I would keep them together because there's a cohesive message there, and it'll be a lot easier to both market your products and tell Etsy who your target audience is. That way, through, machine learning, which is how they connect buyers to sellers, they will be able to recommend you in search to the appropriate people. So, yeah.
I just had a look at eRank at the red search trend graph in the middle. I can't see the option to have Google. Is that a paid for feature? I don't believe so. They're just check boxes underneath the graphs usually. Unless they've changed it since the last time I looked.
No,
that's not my...
Are you in the keyword tool first and foremost? You need to go into the tools tab, go to the keyword tool, type in the keyword you want to research. And then at the red search trend graph in the middle, there is no red search trend. It's orange. Is it the orange one you're talking about? There should be an option at the bottom to toggle Google on. I don't believe that's a paid feature. If it is, I mean, you guys got to...
I don't think it is.
You guys got to consider in my day-to-day, as someone who works at eRank, I'm never poking around the free accounts very much.
That's not my department.
Right. But I thought for sure it was. So just make sure that you're in the keyword tool, not the keyword explorer, keyword tool. And yeah, let me know.
Just want to say both of you are dope. Nobody tell the DEA.
We appreciate you. Somebody pointed out that Bubbers is also asleep back. Oop, where's my finger? There it is. He's there.
There it is. Where's my finger?
Baby Joe is...
The game you don't want to play.
Where's my finger?
Wouldn't it be better to use a keyword search engine that uses searches from Google rather than Etsy? Or is that ignorant here to learn?
Are you selling on Google?
If you're selling on your website and you need Google optimization, then you need Google. If you are selling on Etsy, then you need Etsy.
Yeah. Etsy SEO is different than Google SEO. And what Google likes is very different than what Etsy likes. Etsy likes repetitiveness. Etsy likes to see, those keywords used a lot. Google doesn't like you to repeat keywords all that much. They like things to be a little bit more clear and concise. If you are trying to appeal to people that are shopping on Etsy, then you want to appeal to the Etsy algorithm by using a keyword tool that is designed for Etsy based on Etsy searches. And that is what eRank provides. It is data based on actual Etsy customers. Now, that data does not come from Etsy. Etsy does not disclose that data. Anybody who says that they have that data is lying. We get that data from a trusted third party, and I like to compare it to, Nelson families. You guys remember Nelson families? I believe they still exist. Nelson. Is that right? Nielsen.
It's one of those two.
Nielsen.
The boxes they stick behind your cable box to see what you're watching.
Right. I mean, TV ratings, that's how they collected them. We
Thank God they don't do that to your computers.
over at eRank, we work with a trusted third party who sources that data ethically from millions of people who have opted to have their data collected in that way. We are, in terms of the amount of data that we receive, it is so much that you could go and buy yourself a new house with it every month. It is a lot. It is very expensive. So it is the closest thing that we can get to accurate. Data cannot be incorrect if it is actual data.
Excuse me.
It just becomes more accurate the more it is quantified.
Nielsen.
The more data you have collected, the more accurate it becomes. We just happen to have a lot of it, and we pride ourselves on that. So,
will eRank get a Chrome extension? Maybe.
Maybe if you guys are nice.
If you keep asking, no, you have to wait till after Christmas.
We might be working on a little thing. We can't talk about it though. Maybe.
Sorry, I have an NDA. Why can't people just learn to create something on their own, learn a trade?
I mean,
I blame hustle culture for that. Etsy sellers have been using my images to create AI copies of them and selling them. That sounds like you need to go into the little copyright report tool and report copyright infringement. If you can 100% prove that they are stealing it from your product and not just coincidentally searching something that is similar to your product.
Google Etsy IP reporting portal, and it'll take you to Etsy's, streamlined reporting portal and report from there.
Just remember that reporting something that is not yours is also a crime. So don't do that.
Right. Not to you. We're not talking to you. We're talking to everybody else out there.
That's why I'm saying just be sure that they're actually doing what you're presuming. I'm not doubting you at all.
No.
It happens a lot. Just make sure you're only reporting things that are yours, because Etsy can terminate you for reporting things that are not there. And in some places, it's actually a crime. When would you start promoting holiday items on social media? Feels like early, but I'm getting sales on Etsy already. Oh, goodness.
That's hard because people are kind of getting into Halloween mode now. Like we're hitting like Code Orange season where everybody's freaking out about Halloween. If you've got Halloween items, I would start, have the holiday items in your shop. You guys should be getting those Christmas items in there because people are searching for them. We've got the numbers to prove it. You can go to eRank and look it up. Go ahead and get those products in there. But when it comes to your social media advertising, I mean, you could sprinkle in some of those holiday things, or if you don't want them static on your feed, maybe post some stories with the holiday stuff. But I would focus on Halloween until, October, and then maybe start upping the frequency and, very subtly mixing them together. And then as we get closer to Halloween and it's harder to ship those Halloween products on time, then start going into like full blown Christmas mode, which kind of contradicts my usual advice to start marketing really early, but this is the exception to that. You sound like Pino on Bill's Burgers. Bill's Burgers, Bob's
Bill's Burgers. Good God.
Bob's Burgers.
It's been a long week, y'all. Does anyone else here have the update bank account problem? The system doesn't let you update it and you get an answer, but the answer says they don't have time. They don't have a time for this to be fixed.
I've heard similar things. If you look in the comment section on my video from Tuesday, I think a couple people mentioned that.
All of my orders shipped through Etsy. I had 5-star reviews with 1 4-star, but great feedback. Why do they do that? Some people don't give 5-star reviews. Remember, 5 stars means it meets your expectations.
Exceeds.
No.
Or 4 stars means it meets. 5 means it exceeds.
I disagree with that. I think 5 stars means it meets exactly what you expected the product to be. And I think you start subtracting from beyond there. Otherwise, everything should be a 4-star review. Nothing should ever get rated 5 stars.
Either way, Etsy sees a 4-star review is good.
There wasn't a question involved in that anyway, so I can move on. Go away. Oh my God.
When something pops up on the screen and no matter where you click, you open something else.
Now it's this thing and I've got to nah. Go away. eRank better add some AI features or it might get left behind.
It already
Newsflash,
has.
it has. It's called the listing helper.
It's been there. Go look at it. We opened beta testing like months ago for that. And now everybody has it. Even free users, you guys get one You get one a day. Sorry, freebies. It was kind of expensive to develop, but not in terms of where because it's open AI, but we do have a team to pay. Yeah, it's under the listings tab in eRank. It's called the listing helper. I think that there's like a little badge beside it that says new that will help you to. We got ours. We made ours before Amazon did. Amazon just released theirs, and ours was out months ago.
Yee.
So me and Mark might have.
Amazon's still sitting around with that yee ass haircut.
Nobody's gonna get that.
Nobody's gonna get that, and I'm gonna get crap for cursing. That's okay. Yeah, and I'll go ahead and since we're at the 1:30 mark, we're done with questions. I'll go ahead and reiterate Miranda's point. Don't make it all doom and gloom. We're just trying to keep Etsy from going down a bad path. Exactly. That's the point that we wanted to make, was not that Etsy is a bad platform. Etsy's still my favorite platform to sell on, and I think it will be indefinitely. There's definitely ways that it could get worse. Excuse me.
Stop borping.
That was the first time I burped. It's been yawns because I didn't get any sleep. We think that Etsy is going to remain that platform as long as they start to make better decisions. And if they don't start to make better decisions, then people are going to start looking elsewhere. And then the things that they start implementing will be safety measures in order to not lose more money. And that's what's going to kill the platform. And I don't want to see that happen. Etsy has been our home for
over 10 years.
Over 10 years, and I would like it to stay that way. I would like it is a way for people to become entrepreneurs with very little money, where in knowledge, when in any other way to make a living, it's going to cost an astronomical amount of money or an astronomical amount of knowledge. If you don't know how to make your own website and you don't have money to pay people for the plugins to do so, I mean, you're kind of limited on your choices. And brick and mortar for handcraft stuff, I mean, you guys have been to small towns. Those brick and mortar stores don't last very long.
Yeah, and somebody had said, what about the marketplace from Michaels? Everybody keeps asking about that. Michaels is a U.S. company. Etsy is a worldwide company. Michaels is a company that is based on, helping crafters. Crafters are not Etsy shoppers. They're not. The average buyer is not the crafter.
No.
Do I think that it's worth it to start one if you've gotten the invitation? Sure. But you can compare for yourself by going to erank.com and going to our new sites tool. You can put in, Etsy versus any other website. You can do it versus, Amazon is going to be bigger, but that we can't separate Amazon Handmade, unfortunately. But, put it up against Go Imagine, put it up against Redbubble, put it up against the Michaels Marketplace when we get a link for that. You can put it up against anyone and you will always find that Etsy is number one.
The listing helper is really bad. What do you mean about the listing helper is really bad?
Yeah, you got to
maybe state your actual point, because we actually have a lot of people that love it.
Right, it's AI. Of course, sometimes AI is
going to say some stupid crap.
It's not to be taken as gospel, and it's not giving you keyword advice.
We recommend that you take it and put it in your own words. It's just a good starting point.
Well, I do want to state that the listing helper is not backed by any keyword data. If you're getting keyword suggestions from the listing helper, you need to take those keywords and pop them into the keyword tool. And there's a big disclaimer right on the top of the page that states that.
The title it generates not relevant ever.
Refine your prompt.
Yeah, it's an AI tool. It just sounds like you don't know how to use an AI tool.
Yeah, we're not.
And that's fine.
Right.
If it's not for you, that's fine. I don't particularly like it for titles. I like it for the descriptions. I wouldn't ever use it for the titles because it's not going to automatically be SEO optimized.
Right.
So
refine
it.
You got to refine it and play with it. And if it's not for you, then DIY it, because I don't use it.
Faux show. Yeah, I don't do it either.
I don't use it. I DIY my titles. I do the keyword research and I craft them myself. But for people who need that little extra nudge, it's a good alternative. But yeah, if you're not getting the result you want, refine your prompt, because ultimately it's not a person. Yep. It's AI. It's ChatGPT. That's literally what it is.
You put diesel in a gasoline car, it's just going to fart along and barely work. Like you got to give it something that it knows how to work with.
Absolutely.
But that's pretty much all the time that we have to work with. Again, August 25th, keep Etsy human. Put it on all your social media stuff. If you don't have anything positive that you can say, just share our video from Tuesday with the hashtag. We're not making any money personally off of this. We're donating 100% of the funds that video makes.
Yeah. And like I said, send the video to, if you know any news sites that might pick it up, Etsy YouTubers, All social media platforms, comment on Etsy's post with hashtag keep Etsy human. If you're on a social media platform, then check for Etsy's account there. LinkedIn, I think, is going to be one of our best places because of so many Etsy employees being there. It's not a place where they promote Etsy products or promote their services. They stand as a representative for the company and the people who work there, which leads me to believe that employees are going to be able to see these posts and they might be more likely to raise a little bit of awareness. Get this out there. Like I said, Mark and I can't do this by ourselves. We've created the platform and the idea and the way, but it is up to you guys to execute it, because I can scream from the rooftops what I want, but Etsy's not going to listen to just me. We need all of us out on our rooftops screaming together. That way we actually create something that is loud enough for someone, whether it be Etsy or a large news station who will get Etsy's attention, for something to actually change. But guys, thanks so much for hanging out. We appreciate you. Next week, next week, 1 week from today is the 25th. I don't know what our topic is going to be for the Friday Bean that week, if we're just going to talk about this stuff again, or if we'll find,
maybe we'll find something, do something fun. Who knows? We'll try to figure something out. And they had said, can we get an SEO optimized AI? Can ChatGPT not crawl through the data? So they are given a panel of data at a specific point in time, and their data is limited to that time frame and before. So I don't know what GPT-4 is up to now, but last I checked, it was like September 2021. So it doesn't know anything past September 2021.
Right. Keyword data, eRank updates that data monthly.
Yeah, it could be newer. And eRank uses what that platform has. It doesn't have anything beyond that either. It's just a text generator.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's neither here nor there. We love you guys. Make sure to spread the good word, say nice things, continue chugging along, getting your Etsy shops going. With as many people as there are that are having issues, there are 100 people that aren't. So we want to make sure that your guys' voices are heard. And there's a lot of you here who aren't having problems, but your voice still matters.
Because it could happen to you.
Something will eventually down the road. If we don't do something, everyone's going to be affected in some way, shape, or form. Whether it's directly or indirectly, something's going to happen to you. And we don't want that to happen. So we love you. We will see you guys next Tuesday for a new video. She will be streaming next Thursday on eRank's channel. Should be streaming next Thursday on eRank's channel. Make sure you guys go and check that out. Give them some love. Next Friday, we will see you guys here for our hashtag explosion. Hopefully we get some stuff done. And
let's do it. Let's be loud, guys.
Absolutely.
Be loud.
And stay positive. Stay positive. Obviously, if your shop gets shut down, we know stuff sucks. Focus on your controllables, control your controllables, and don't try to push yourself too hard. We love you guys, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. Keep waving.
Oh, yeah.
Bye.
He really is working on an outro.
I really am, but I want it to be worth something. So, bye.